Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome IBM General Manager of Watson Customer Engagement, Inhi Cho-Suh.
Good morning, everyone. Okay, that was an amazing demo, and you're starting to see a taste of the possibilities of what this future has for us. I say that we're living at an incredible time. It's a time when, if you think about it, it's only happened a couple times where the entire world's code base, to some degree, either is going to be rewritten, right, completely newly written, or at least connecting to the data set that already exists in your existing infrastructure to tap into AI. So when we think about this across every industry, every profession, every role, we're entering this era of AI, and it's a transformation and reinvention time for every enterprise. Now, for IBM, we've also gone through a tremendous digital transformation ourselves in different parts of our businesses, and we're leveraging many disruptive technologies. You got to see a sample of Max. We're leveraging machine learning. We're also investing heavily in blockchain for smarter contracts for the next generation, and even quantum computing for the implications around cybersecurity. As you start to reorient, and we're seeing our reorientation of our company, we're getting more and more grounded in our clients. And one of the things that we've realized in this AI era, that the biggest fuel for all of this is going to be data. Now, data for disruption, if you think about it, the proliferation of data is kind of scary. It's 2.5 gigabits of data is produced every minute here in the US, just in the US alone. Now, 90% of that data actually has been only created in the last couple years. I would say about 20%, we often think about some of the bigger internet companies and data platforms as owning the data, but actually the reality is only about 20% of the available data in the world is in the public realm. Majority of the data is in discrete silos behind your firewalls and mine. So the companies that have had this long history of customer knowledge, your own enterprise processes, your people, it's about how do you take advantage of that data set. And the reason for why the data becomes the fuel, it actually is the currency and your biggest differentiator. Why do I say this? It's quite simple. Whether you are in the industrial sector, in the retail sector, or banking, everyone has gone through different stages of your digital transformation, right? So the notion of having online banking is just a commonplace. Maybe 10 years ago it wasn't. But in a world where everyone is doing some form of online commerce, online engagement, multi-channel engagement, and then you take another step and say, in a world where essentially, in an AI world, it's going to be data and algorithms to some degree could be evolved and copied. The piece that is really unique is the data. It's how you're trained on it, it's your methodology, it's why you reason and rationale different aspects. So we really want to kind of emphasize the importance of the data that's unique to your enterprise and how do you harness that. Now, as you think about AI, it's also about the signal in the noise, right? How do you understand and extract that intelligence to augment the human capabilities? So when we think about AI, our brand is Watson. Watson is how we think about enterprise AI, meaning not just artificial intelligence, but augmenting the intelligence of enterprise experts. So we as humans, what do? We specialize. You don't go to your tax accountant for health advice or physical. You don't go to your lawyer for, not necessarily for shopping advice sometimes. But if you think about it, the human capability, we specialize. Our language is specialized. Taxonomy, the way we think about offerings and product and pricing and go-to-market cycles are fundamentally different depending on the nature of your industry and domain. And so when we think about Watson, it's about the ability to understand industry and context. We also, as humans, what do? We reason, right? We reason towards specific goals. We don't just identify patterns and understand it, but we rationalize certain decisions because of a number of factors. And then, more importantly, another human characteristic is we learn over time. We have an amazing ability to memorize history, memorize situations, and learn from that. And that's what we think about the next generation of interacting in embedded systems. That is a core element of how we see this evolution. So it's about the ability to engage faster, think smarter, and more importantly, engage in your business models in fundamentally new ways. Now, when I think about competition, that bar moves every day. So you saw this: touch, voice, biometrics, AR, VR. Those are just the starting points. But if you've been thinking about digital disruption and industry competition as your peers in your respective industry, I think your bar is too low. Your bar should be, what was the last best experience your customer had, whether it was in their consumer individual life or in a completely different industry? Because that experience bar is really the new expectation that they're going to have even as they engage you, right? So when we think about experience today, 92%, this is a high number, unbelievable, 92% of purchasing decisions today are influenced by social engagement, digital engagement. This is about competing in terms of brand trust, but as a result of that, we have to act with care. And you've seen the news, right, about trust, transparency, and this world of AI. We actually hosted a poll with the Harris Poll Group, and we discovered that 75% of consumers and enterprise purchasers and leaders said that they would not buy from a company, no matter how great the products, if they didn't trust that the company would protect their data, right? So in this world, we think about data security, data privacy, but even one step further, when this AI world where you're training systems, who are the people that are training it? How do you train out for unconscious biasness? It has huge implications in the way you might even innovate. So providing transparency and data security, data privacy, thinking through the training methodologies, who's part of your governance, how you handle that as you develop and adopt AI applications. These are important pieces that IBM is very thoughtful about stewarding, and we believe it's a call to action actually for all industry leaders and business leaders and society leaders and education and research. Now, we have been hosting a global C-suite study for about 19 years. And this is where we survey over 10,000 CEOs, CIOs, chief digital officers, as well as CMOs, about how they believe their future is now and will be 2 to 3 years from the road. About 70% of the respondents believe that they are going to be impacted for the next 2 to 3 years by market forces that will require them to change their business model. Fundamentally change their business model. And a lot of them defined it as increasing competition, and it wasn't direct competition. It was actually coming at them from the side, right? Just think about all of the disruptive models that have happened. And when they say, are they ready to take this into control for themselves on becoming a disruptor, how would you actually go about doing that? So how would you go about reinventing ourselves? And as we shared with clients and started to hear from them, and we thought about IBM's own transformation, we actually started to reinvent on a couple elements. First was with the IBM Cloud, because as you think about the AI journey, you have to go digital first, right? You have to figure out how to get your data in such a way that you can actually apply data and analytics. And the second was in our journey with Watson. Now, as you think about this technology direction and path, over the last 5 years, we have actually developed over 7,000 patents specifically around cloud technology. 7,000 patents just on cloud. Last year, we actually innovated on over 9,000 patents globally just last year a little over about 12 to 1,400 were in the category of AI. We also did another 1,200 in the category of cybersecurity. Why does this matter? As you think about our future, these patents and innovations are part of how we think also about digital transformation. And so as we think about what's going to enable our clients to transform within their industries, we also wanted to rethink even the role that cloud and AI potentially have for all of you. So let's take a quick view at this video.
This is not a cloud. This is a car protected from storms by an insurance company that knows the weather down to the square block. This is a diamond tracked on a blockchain protected against fraud, theft, and trafficking. This is a financial transaction secure from hacks and threats others can't see. This is a patient's medical history made secure while still available to their doctor at their fingertips. This is an asteroid live streamed to millions of viewers from 220 miles above Earth. This is AI trained by experts in 20 industries, your industry.
Hello.
This is not the cloud you know. This is the IBM cloud. The cloud that's built for all your apps. AI ready, secure to the core. The IBM cloud is the cloud for smarter business.
Now, as you saw in this video, when we think about cloud and where we're headed, we're actually thinking about it as a journey. So we've gone through our own internal reinvention, but as we do that, we've actually been sharing our expertise and best practices with our clients. And one of the things that came through, and this is also what we're hearing from a number of CIOs, CEOs, and the C-suite executives that I mentioned, is that they all believe for themselves that they're actually planning a multi-cloud strategy. What that means is, quite frankly, not everyone is ready to have just all their data, right, on one cloud necessarily. Or think about the network and bandwidth aspects, or think about your existing infrastructure and investments. And by the very nature I just talked about in this AI world, where you're trying to augment capabilities that are uniquely human, we're mobile. We're everywhere. We generate data as we walk. We generate data as we click and swipe and talk on devices. And when you think about that proliferation, being able to manage and plan your journey thoughtfully around your business models and your business processes, both your front office as well as your back office, but more importantly, this middle office as you're transforming, as Kirk had talked about, becomes critical to how you think about also the multi-cloud strategies moving forward. And Forrester Research actually identified that about 60% are adopting a hybrid model for cloud moving forward. Now, 2 clients that are transforming their front office, mainly because as you think about the first area that you want to digitize because of end user expectations, but also the types of innovations. 2 very great examples. One is American Airlines. So what American wanted to do was reinvent their customer-facing mobile applications. I'm sure everyone has taken a flight either to get to this event or recently for travel, personal or professional. And if you think about the global network of check-ins, kiosks, the IBM Cloud provided a number of capabilities to manage not only their data sets, the multiple cloud services, being able to containerize them as you think about some of the open source technologies and advantages that are evolving. But Lloyd's Bank also did the same. What you're seeing is a trend to say, hey, in my front office, what am I doing to digitize and transform that work? Because it's my first point of customer engagement. So Lloyd's Banking Group is actually one of the largest digital banks in the UK. They've got over 12.5 million customers online, and they have over 8 million mobile users. And they chose the IBM Cloud actually for the primary reason because of the security and our multi-cloud capabilities, whether or not they wanted some aspects running within their own secure private cloud, as well as some services that they wanted to tap into more of a public and IBM Cloud instance. And so when you think about your enterprise future, this will be also part of your journey to figure out the balance of hybrid. Now, when I think about cloud, it is really, once again, a platform for innovation. I'm going to use one technology example I'm sure many of you have heard about and read about, which is blockchain. So one of the advantages of cloud is because it's a distributed environment, right? You have the ability to have that. A blockchain technology wouldn't have been evolved except for in a cloud notion, because you have the ability to have sort of the shared ledger, meaning a way for parties to see visibility into various trades. And then you have a distributed database structure where information is inputted regardless of maybe historical relationships, but because you've been qualified into this network. So when you think about just different aspects of technology, AI, next generation of machine learning and deep learning takes advantage of the multi-parallel processing capabilities that you have across clouds and neural networks you have across clouds. So when you think about cloud, the first step may be the first step of your digital transformation, but it actually should be a gateway to your disruption as you think about your investments. Now, when I think about it, I lead a team that really innovates and builds capabilities around business applications. So my team thinks about commerce applications, supply chain applications, and how to inject analytics, data, AI into these applications to advance professionals. And what we're looking for is how do we extract demand signals up front, potentially for inventory planning, downstream? Or how do we extract signals where we see shoppers struggle as they actually get to the point of closing a transaction? Or further downstream, quality of service, customer service and engagement. And we're seeing a lot of disruption there because people are embedding more and more cognitive capabilities for client engagement through chat interfaces and others. So these are some of the technologies that are the driving forces of the business model. As we think about this building of unique IP, one of the things that we're delighted is we actually received the Forrester's endorsement for a brand new wave. It's called Conversational Computing Platform. And I love the way that Kurt said it, which is, you have a leader and the leader. So we are the only leader that's been identified to actually have a conversational computing platform for the enterprise. And so we're excited about the IBM Watson Assistant. It's an AI-powered white label service that's enabled via the cloud and that you can use to actually build your own virtual assistants. And we've had a number of clients build their own applications. So it's not a hey, Watson. It is specifically how you want to develop your own conversational engagement services. Now, as you think about this, we've also thought through in the cloud a number of patterns, meaning we're starting to see patterns of deployment in the developer community, which is we've developed actually over 100 different code patterns for pre-built content, as well as open source templates. And this really allows pretty much a developer to get up and ready within a minute. And if you're more advanced, like a data scientist, we also have capabilities to really enable that data application and preparation. So part of this is, as we're learning how to reinvent for ourselves some of these services, we're also enabling this for our clients and learning patterns from them and so forth. So we're really building this capability of AI across the board with our industry clients and our partners. Now, I talked about the front end. The other piece, when we think about the back end of applications, often it's things like supply chain disruptions, it's things like inventory management, looking at alternative suppliers, potentially upstream because you're going to have delivery service charges at the end. So one of the other areas that is actually top of mind for AI investments right now, so if you haven't started, this is another fantastic area to get started, we're seeing as a pattern, is around reinventing customer engagement, customer service. So Autodesk is a good example. Obviously, global leader in 3D computer-aided design, and they've actually created a Watson Assistant virtual agent using some of our capabilities. And today, that agent and the call center staff, their entire team probably handles on average about 20,000 conversations per month. And it's really improved the customer responses by almost 100% in terms of their ability to address questions, respond quickly with alternative solutions. And it's about faster engagement. It's about transparency and augmenting your customer call center teams with even the latest information. Another example of advancing customer service is also around Orange, and this is a leading French telecommunications provider. They're handling about 20,000 conversations per week. 20,000 conversations per week. Just imagine if you had to think about orchestrating that in terms of the myriad of patterns and insights in those conversations. So, and because we're able to process this in much more natural language insights, you have an opportunity to completely rethink everything from your contact center, your interactions end to end, and have tremendous improvement. Okay. Now, this is a part that I'm also excited about in terms of our partnership with Apttus, and Kirk mentioned this, but another company that we are working together with in close partnership is Apttus. So Apttus and IBM are partnering. Kurt mentioned that we are moving the Apttus Intelligent Cloud to take advantage of some of the native capabilities in IBM's cloud. So part of this is about taking advantage of some of the more advanced features and unique aspects of our platform, as well as take advantage of capabilities that we'll continue to enhance in our Watson development. I mean, Apttus Max is amazingly unique, and for every enterprise client, they want to make sure that that engagement is personalized. So as AI virtual sales assistants, that redefines that commercial engagement for their clients, we're excited to be able to help power as they continue to innovate on Max with IBM Watson. Now, for IBM, our own story, when we think about the nature and scale of IBM, as you know, we've gone through not only this digital transformation, but multiple transformations. And we serve clients globally around the world. And part of what we were required to do is rethink even some parts of our middle office and power it with AI, and power it with kind of new forms of digitization. So IBM also leverages Apttus's quote to cash to improve some of our middle office operations, especially as we think about engagement in certain areas, parts of our portfolio to help our sales leaders in SaaS acceleration. And this allows IBM to not only reduce that sales cycle, but it's the way we engage around the customer experience. It's about the way we think about arming our experts that are closest to the client with the latest information, and then being able to enhance that capability, because it's a learning platform over time, to enhance that capability from the intelligence applied in combination of IBM Watson and Apttus Max. There's so much excitement and potential here, and that's why together we want to help other organizations as we go through our transformation, how to begin to conceive what's possible for your own business and your own industry. Now, as I think about where this transformation is, you know, we talked about different aspects. There's front office, middle office, and back office. Data is proliferated, right? Systems and applications are hundreds, if not thousands. And in this world, what's going to become more and more important is that knowledge that you harness across your application sets and your data sets, and then apply more analytics and AI to. Now, when we think about the first step of AI often, and you saw it in part of the demonstration with Max, but in some of the call center applications, it's often, you know, let me help you with the best next task, right? It's automating a set of workflow steps. That's point one. So improving your ability to make a decision in the middle of a workflow in that moment with all of the right data points, regardless of the disparate systems. But the more interesting thing is I think about what we're able to do with much more advanced technology and advancement is really about what I consider new discoveries, new insights, new intelligence. And so here, it's really about the possibility of not always having to know what you want to ask and then type it into a search bar or ask a system to engage, but it's thinking about creative discovery in every role in every industry to find information and find insights. So as I think about this transformation that we're going through internally across various areas and applying technology as a disruptor, it's going to be incredibly important how we are thoughtful in the management of that data and that insight. Now, I would say that as we think about our transformation and the journey many of our clients have gone through, a few lessons I'd love to share with you guys. So first is you have to think about your overall business strategy. And we're living at a time where things move incredibly fast. Competition is fast. Where you're going to get disrupted from the side is fast. New disruptors, competitors are constantly emerging. And sometimes the technology choices, but more importantly, your business model strategy, you should think about a partner that you trust and how you reinvent your business model in such a way that you're serving your clients for the future. So one is really about your overall business strategy. The second piece is data. You know, I mentioned it briefly here, but I just want to reiterate it. Your data, the data that sits behind your firewalls, your enterprise insights, is one of the most differentiated data sets. And in a world where you can rewrite applications with code and algorithms, the difference between a performance and treatment of different workflow applications will be the nature of your data sets. So really think about how are you curating your expertise and experts? How are you augmenting the knowledge that you have in-house within your organization? What are the platforms that you leverage to keep your systems of record? But it's also the patterns of interaction both inside and outside your enterprise. So data, really think through your data strategy and how you can harness that. And then how do you control it? Because we're thoughtful about the training. Hey, you don't want your data to be trained on a platform where that training is then available to all your competitors, right? So one of the things that we're very conscious of at IBM is, hey, when we do training and it's on your data, it's your data. It's not our data. So we don't, and we are very thoughtful about not mixing that data. That is your ownership. And then, more importantly, we also recognize for most enterprises, the data sets that you have are very unique. And because of the nature of the fact that they're unique, you're not going to have a lot of a large corpus of data by various role. And so training on smaller data sets, specialized by role, specialized for your company, and being very effective and highly precise in that is part of our unique aspect. So think about your data set. How do you manage it? How do you leverage it? But also think through the training methodology and make sure that you're asking, when you're engaging in any platform discussion, what are your rights on that data? And the partners and vendors that you choose. So data is really your second piece. The third piece I would recommend, which is probably the most important, is as you invest over time, because we're learning this too, is you want to invest in a learning platform. What that means is, look, there are systems today that have been designed from a long time ago, but it's continuously learning, meaning the team has thought through, the platform leaders may have thought through how to expose and extract value of the integration pieces and the data pieces. But if you're not building on a platform long term that's actually able to connect to other systems or learn over time, you're going to be constrained, right? And then there's a thing called data gravity, which is really hard to manage, which is once it's in a place for a long time. So with that, I just want to say, look, each of your digital and AI journeys will be very different. I encourage you to think about, again, your strategy, your data. Bet big on platforms that learn over time and are really designed thoughtfully for multi-cloud and AI. Now, we also have, I wanted to share that a number of IBM speakers today that'll go into more details about our own transformation, leveraging not just our partnership with Apttus, but our own unique adoption. I'm also going to walk through some demonstrations later about how we are making some of our AI capabilities much more real across the set of business applications. But with that, I am, my last offer for everyone here is we have an amazing Watson immersion studio, a client briefing center here in San Francisco, brand new. It was just built last year, and one in New York City. So depending on where you're from, I would highly encourage you. Sometimes you almost need to be fully immersed in it and see it. And I am based here in our San Francisco Watson West headquarters. So if you are absolutely interested, please reach out to any IBMer, and we're happy to host you in one of our client centers where you can actually immerse yourself in a true Watson experience that's sort of tailored to your specific industry applications. So with that, we look forward to partnering and engaging in many dialogues about how you want to digitally reinvent your own journeys. And thank you for your time.